He said take a village to raise a child. But what if the village is retarded?
So I'm gonna talk today about social media. This is my opinion about social media and how I look at it. This is called the truth about social media. So I'm gonna talk about some things that mainly it probably I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna try to be as honest as I possibly can, and basically talk about social media. From my viewpoint is how I look at things. Now, I was looking for a thumbnail, but Kanye is actually a good example of basically what I'm going to be talking about. And I don't know how long I'm going to be on here. I just, I was thinking about social media. I was actually watching O'Shea Jackson. He did a video on Fresh and Fit, uh, kind of being banned. I think they're banned from the UK or something like that. He did a video on that, and I was thinking about social media, and I was thinking about this before. It wasn't just because of the video, but it just I'm kind of just like all right. Let me go live and just talk about it while it's fresh on my mind, and just kind of get it out there. But here's the thing, right? So how I look at social media. I've done videos and I talked about social media. I'm one of the early adopters. I was pretty much a grown man when social media basically came into existence. So while a lot of people were basically little boys or babies or not even born, I was on social media. I was on Black Planet, MySpace, you know, when it first started, right? So before it was even called social media, right? Now, the thing is this: from that time to now, what I understand about social media is, for one, people take it entirely too serious, and I realized that, and I was like, I took a step back, and I was like, you know what? People really take this serious, and people be stalking people on the fucking internet and stalking people on social media. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, it's like people that really don't fuck with you be like stalking you damn near, like they following your pages and they don't even talk to you. They don't like none of your fucking content that you post. They don't comment on anything that you post. They don't like buy any of your products that you post. It's a weird thing. Now, some people might have this behavior as well. Some people might not have this behavior. I don't know. It varies. As far as I would say, I don't know as far as what's going on as far as with other people. I do know people that are more well to do than I am complain about this very thing as well. Like, I don't know them, but from actual just different social media accounts, I basically have friends and followers and all that type of stuff, and I follow people and I subscribe to other people and all of this other, you know, it's a lot of different social media apps now versus, let's just say, 1999, 2000, when kind of the whole idea, I guess you would say, generation one will be MySpace and Black Planet. Okay. From that time to onward, it's all kinds of social media apps. Like, it's too many to mention. That's how many there are. Yet the thing is that I did hear people that are, kind of on social media a lot complain as well. Now, I'm going to talk about this from a vantage point of, I'm going to get right into it and just kind of just say one of the reasons why I think a lot of people are on social media is they're broke. And that's just me just getting right to the nitty-gritty and just saying it like it is. People on social media because they ain't got no motherfucking money. Now that I might have stole on half of the people on social media with this statement that I've just made. I mean, obviously people don't have a lot of money, right? Okay, let me go to my little chart here that I always post, and you can kind of understand, why I keep posting this. And you see the chart here, right? Everybody pretty much don't have no money until you get to like what I have to. This is so small. I have to kind of put it up to my phone. You don't start getting into the money until about the 20 percentile, 30 percentile of this chart here. Really, to be honest, like 40 to 50%. And the middle class is what you think is not really the true middle class. The true middle class, I believe, is more appropriate to this chart here, which is $500,000 to $2 million is the middle class. That's on par with living standards, cost of living standards, cost of housing, inflation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that being said, most people are on social media because they really don't have nothing else going on. And like I say, I know that it probably is like really really harsh. Like it hurts. Like to because it's kind of almost embarrassing. Like a lot of times when I post certain stuff, like it, I kind of like I basically, my truth kind of exposes a lot of other truths, right? It's like, okay, let, let's say pretty much you believe what I say, or it is actually is what it is, right? Well, then you might start looking at people on social media a little bit different. You might look at the idea of social media a little bit different because, again, I believe that a lot of people are on social media because they are kind of looking to a level of an escapism. They're looking, they're lonely, looking for friends, and then they also are broke. They or let's just say they don't really have a lot of money to live the really they don't really have a lot of money to live how they really want to live. I'll just say that I won't. I'll take out broke because I know that's a trigger word, and I know that frustrates a lot of people. But I'll just say people don't really have the money that they really want. Um, they really like kind of need to live like they really want to live. I'll just say it like that. Like people don't really. Most people don't have the money that would allow them to live how they really would want to live. So social media is like a crutch. I even saw something on my timeline. It was like basically it was Louis Farrakhan. He was talking. He was he. It was like I think he was saying that like social media is like people are trapped by it or something. I didn't watch the video, but I kind of like saw the title and I kind of could probably understand what he might have been talking about or whatever. But you got to understand, like, again, I'll say it again. My premise is a lot of people are on social media as some type of default setting because really they don't really have emotion to really live how they really want to live. Like for example, my whole premise is if you probably did have, let's just say, let's go back to this chart here. Let's definitely say if you were, I'll say comfortable on this chart here. If you, I don't even say comfortable, I'll just say upper middle. I would, to be honest, let's just say middle to definitely wealthy on this chart. I don't think a lot of people would even be on social media like that. My honest to God opinion, if more people, I mean, obviously, if this is the case, then a lot of things is almost like talking about male birth control or um, all kinds of other like theoretical things that are not in existence right now, type of conversation or whatever. But yeah, I definitely think that if people had more money, they wouldn't even be on social media. You got to think about it, right? And I'm guilty of this, and I have been guilty of this before. I have, basically changed and shifted my behavior as far as social media into not really being pursuant of capital gains, not focusing in on capital gains, just kind of being just I guess I don't want to say poor righteous teacher, but basically just not really motivated by capital. Not even to the not really even caring, I would even say. I just basically just come on here like almost like a hobby. Like I don't even really too much pursue or even sometimes I ask for, something to put in the hat, but most of the time I don't. And maybe that's my own detriment. But all of that being said, again, most people I believe are on social media because they don't really have the money to live how they really want to live. Because you got to think, right? All of the countries, all of the islands, all of the possibilities to do certain activities. Why would you really be on social media? And I know, like, this is probably the worst video for somebody to want to listen to because I'm stabbing like deep in the heart of a lot of people's motives. You're talking probably about billions of people. I'm speaking to the world at this point of what this conversation is as far as like literally why people are on social media. Like I'm not probably the only person has probably even thought this. This is like this conversation is those thoughts that you already know that you don't really want to talk about or you don't want to really express because it exposes what you actually do with social media. Like for example, let's just talk about Fresh and Fit. Let's talk about the person that comes to social media for financial gain and they really pursue financial gain. They're coming from a direction to social media as they're a poor person trying to be rich. Okay, most people have that concept. That's a basic concept. Now, some people are not involved in that. Like Most people on social media, they just engaging with their friends, family. They're engaging with other people that have content on social media. I would say most people on social media have no pursuant goal to try to be an influencer. I would probably say probably less than 10% of people that are on social media are influencers or even wannabe or whatever the case may be, because a lot of people want their privacy. A lot of people are they want their privacy, and they're very very concerned about what other people think of them, so they wouldn't even want to pursue anything when in regards to being some type of content creator, let's just say. Because a content creator is not necessarily an influencer, but I guess it is two in the same. But most people, I would say 95% of people, they are not on social media trying to necessarily be some type of famous content creator. They're just sharing friends and family, baby photos, their children photos, their cat, their dog, their food that they ate at the restaurant today, stuff like that, right? So the thing is that, I mean, that still remains to be the case no matter what. But when it comes to obviously the content creators that are pursuing, a goal in mind to be a successful content creator so they can become monetized and so on and so forth and make a whole bunch of money. I mean, those people obviously are coming to social media to make money. They don't have the money already, so they're trying to make that off of social media. And as far as the thumbnail goes, why? Because the original thumbnail I was trying to get was they had I could have thumbed through my photos. I know it's on there somewhere or it's on my Facebook, but it's basically Pookie from New Jack City, and he's in somebody morphed in like instead of the crack pipe, you have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. You probably seen that meme before. It's an old meme, but Kanye is very relevant to this conversation. It's probably even a better thumbnail to use because in Kanye's case, he already had money. He already has money because he's already been famous and rich, right? He's already at that point, right? He has money, right? But he actually does very similar to what other people do, including I would even say myself. I come on social media and I say all kinds of crazy shit. I post all kinds of crazy stuff. Like people really like, I don't a lot of times that's why I'm not really liked, because I mean I post so much stuff and I say so much stuff. I don't even know what I said. And then people really don't they don't say anything about it. So people just be offended and they don't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I think like maybe a few people, I probably can count on my hands or my fingers how many times somebody has said that basically I've offended them. I've gotten comments where it was people that said that I offended them or whatever, or they were triggered by something. I mean, I get those from time to time, but I don't get them that much. But from time to time, I have gotten that particular feedback. But it all depends on how popular you are, because it is a popularity contest on social media. I mean, that's just kind of what it is. I've talked about that for years, but the thing is that most people are on the opposite side of Kanye. They're trying to get where Kanye is. They not even, to be honest, they not even trying to get where Kanye is. They trying to just get like, they trying to get like 10% or 1% of where Kanye is, and they happy as a clam. And a lot of what they're doing is basically PG content, very, very PG type stuff, and they're trying to please the audience and all of that. And that is what it is. Like, and the thing is, the goal is to make money, is to, get some type of money for yourself. But you got to understand, the 5%, or let's just say 5 or 10% of people that are actually content creators that are trying to make money off of social media, well, those individuals are basically promoting content for the 95 or 90% of people that are on social media, the people that don't want to actually be content creators. Those are their audience. Those are their, basically patrons, right? So it all goes back to that point where, basically you're trying to create content for the people that, a lot of these people, they don't have the money to really kind of escape social media, really. You got a lot of people, like, let's just go into it, right? Let's really take a deep dive on this and just kind of, really parse this out. Most people don't even travel outside of the United States. Let me get my other phone. Hold on. Let me grab my other phone here. Let me get some data here. How many people actually travel outside of the United States? Let's see here. Or, yeah, let's see. So, so basically, around 10%, give or take, 10% of the population travels outside of the United States. That's just outside of the United States. That does international travel. Okay. That's like 10% of the population. Now, if you go down even further, it's a lot of people that don't even travel outside their region. So you got the Midwest, you got the Northeast, you got the South Atlantic, which is like Florida and North Carolina, Alabama. You got the South, you got the West, the Northwest, right? The Midwest, if I didn't say that. And they don't go outside their region. You got some people, a lot of people, they just go to the next state over and that's it. They live in Minnesota, they might go to Wisconsin, or they live in Illinois, they might go to Wisconsin, or they might go to Indiana, they live in New York, they might go to New Jersey and back. That's it. Then you got some people, they don't even leave their state. They don't even leave their city. And a lot of it is they get so used to working and they go so used to just kind of staying in their home base, and then trying to survive and deal with day-to-day life. They just stand in place. They're not even really moving and traveling like that, or they have a fear of traveling different places or whatever. I don't know, but the thing is this: like, some of those people actually do have the money to travel, but most of the people, they do that out of necessity and habit, because they don't really have the means to live a life that they really want to live. A lot of people, most people probably, I would say, they really can't afford to live the life that they really want to live, and that's why it's kind of sad, you know, if you really think about it. I know this is probably like, it's like it's kind of a sad topic. It's kind of like even worse than, I'm going more in depth than probably even talking about finances, because I'm talking about basically, this is kind of like a sociological conversation, how people actually behave in society. Societal societal behaviors. And that's why, I mean, this book right here, I ain't gonna lie, like, I'm a shameless plug. One of the things I like about this book is you working on that. Every step is you working on, basically trying to actually get to the point where you basically can move up this ladder, which is, obviously this is harder than the typical, middle class chart, which, is like this. And this is outdated. This is not really the true class. I'll tell you it's not true. You know how I know it's not true? I've actually made this money right here. This upper class money, this $120,000. I actually hit that plateau. 1 year, I was like, basically, not this tax year, this last tax year, but the tax year before that. Yeah, I made over $120,000. Now, I had to hustle my ass off. Complete hustle, like grind, hustle, just, I had to damn near I had to do all kind of shit to make that money, to make over $120,000. But I did, and it was impactful, but not much, because that's not the true middle. That's not the true class paradigm. The true class paradigm is more closely to this. That's how I knew that. That's actually how I knew that the typical class paradigm, where you make basically middle class is like 50 or above, and then you make over $100,000 and you're upper class. That is so false. I think that's one of. I mean, I've talked about this before. I believe that's one of the most. It's one of the biggest lies that's been told. Because if you got to think about it, if you really go for that, then that means you're going to be closer to mediocrity, and thus not competitive. If you go with this chart here, now you're onto something, because you're going to actually be very, very elite according to the modern standards, as far as, okay, middle class is 50,000 or above, and then upper middle class is, you're making 100, making six figures, and then upper class is you making, let's just say, uh, close to $200,000 or more. Yeah, you're going to be closer to mediocrity. And then here's the thing that I researched years ago, that I definitely talked about it on this channel. You got like a big percentage of people that make quote unquote $100,000 or more and live check to check. I believe half of people that make over $100,000 are living check to check. Like people that make like 100,000 to, let's just say, 100, $50,000 or above, half of those individuals are living check to check. I'm gonna be 100. I'm gonna be 100% with you. I'm not gonna. We gonna. We not gonna. We not gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna cap tonight. I'm gonna hold the cap for another day. But I'm gonna tell you something.
Stop the cap.
When I made $120,000 that year, about 2 years ago, it was times I was living check to check. Believe it or not, I even expressed it on my channel. I was like, because I was fixing what I was doing, and it was totally dumb. I was doing. I'll admit it. Basically, I was just basically fixing up my house, putting everything into my house, and going balls to the wall every paycheck to try to get stuff done in my house. Now, do I have a lot of stuff done because of that? Yes, I still got a lot more to go. But the thing is that, like, yeah, I was living check to check, even making 120,000. So I was like, basically, yeah, like the whole middle class model that's taught in basically modern education, which is in university and colleges. That is actually not a true correlation of what's actually going on, because you got this right here, but you got this here. This is why it's not true. This is the wealth distribution chart, and if you're making $50,000, you're very, very below. You're at almost pretty much. I hit the wrong button. My apologies, but yeah, if you're making $50,000 a year, unfortunately, you're way at the bottom here on this chart. And I know, I mean, these things, these realities, kind of like, a lot of people try to avoid their reality. I mean, I'm not trying to bash anybody. I understand. Like I'm not coming on here. My tone and my intonations and my expression is not like, I'm not trying to be harsh on this one. This is not me trying to berate people that's, financially struggling, like, or anything like that. This is, I'm just being philosophical, and then I'm just kind of pointing out, some of my opinions on things. I'm not trying to bash or berate anyone, you know, their financial status or their financial decisions or anything like that. I'm just kind of stating certain things that, kind of like, talking about some things philosophically as well as sociologically, about how just just kind of how things are, in the United States. And then also, I mean, this is a lot of different places. A lot of places are even worse. The wealth distribution in other countries is even worse than the United States. I mean, United States is not as great as people might think it is. A lot of immigrants come to the United States and they get their wake up call. They realize how difficult it actually is when they're doing DoorDash and Uber Eats and doing all kind of stuff to try to make money, and they realize how competitive the United States actually is, and how it's a lot of moving parts and a lot of gatekeeping and all kind of other stuff. They realize that when they come to this country, right? And then young people, when they move out of their parents' house and when they go in the real world, they get their wake up call. Like when I remember I got my wake up call when I was like 18. I remember I remember sitting on my bed in my apartment when I was going away at college down in Champaign, Illinois. I was uh I was basically sad as hell because I had all of these bills and I hardly had any money to pay them. And I didn't even know how I was going to pay them. And then that's when I realized this is very, very difficult. I thought it was easy because I thought my parents was just, jacked up and all of this other stuff. And it was like, no, this is very, very difficult. This is like extremely difficult. And then I started realizing, like, I'll never forget, like, when I was I was working at a testing company. I've talked about this story before. I was working at a testing company. I was going to school. I actually at that time I was going to school for business. I worked with a guy that had a master's degree. At the time I was making only like 5.75 an hour because this was like 1999. The minimum wage I think at like in the late 90s was like I don't even I think it was like five something or whatever. I was basically making minimum wage. So minimum wage was like five something dollars an hour back then. And we were like basically working in this warehouse where these tests I was working for a standardized test company. And we were basically in this warehouse moving these boxes of basically test scores, Scantron tests. And I never forgot. I'll never forget this. I'll take this to the grave. Um, and I'm in college. I'm like 18 years old, and I'm making $5 and something an hour, trying to pay rent, trying to get gas, food, trying to survive, right? In college, 100 and something miles away from Chicago, living a good life. I mean, it was pros and cons to it. Lot of women, like the best place possibly to be in Illinois. Like I figured it out, Um, my homies was visiting me. I was a superstar at that point. It was like, cause man, it was like it was good, but I was extremely broke, and I was working in this warehouse, and it was this older white man that was, I want to say he was in his 60s at that time, and he had a master's degree. Now, did you point out the fact that I was working with him? Did you figure that out when I said I was working with him? Working with an older white man in his 60s, that had a fucking master's degree. When he told me he had a master's degree, do you know how that gut punch my stomach and my mind at the same time to like basically just utterly destroy the fact that I'm going to school. If I'm a black kid, you gotta understand. And I'm already knowing it's difficult, being black in America and all of this type of stuff. I'm going to school as a young black male, going to school, going to college, and this old white man, 60 something years old, is working with me, making minimum wage with a master's degree. I mean, I damn near fucking probably dropped the box. My whole day was just blown, like as far as like my mind. And this over the series of decades, I've been in scenarios and situations like this. I mean, the thing is that that actually did happen. This guy wasn't. I don't know what his problem was. He didn't act like he wasn't twitching or anything. Like he wasn't like, I didn't see him in a corner smoking crack or anything. Like I didn't know, He didn't have any heroin marks in his veins or anything like that. I don't know, but when the dude said he had a master's degree, I'm like, what the hell am I going to school for? If this dude has got a freaking master's degree and I'm working with him and I'm just like my first, really my second year in college, barely finishing any credit hours at this point, and I'm going to school with this dude. I mean, I'm working with this guy with a master's degree, making minimum wage. So I say all of that to say this. That's when I realized, my parents were extremely smart. They made it look easy. They were jacked up in many ways, but it is very, very difficult and very competitive out here. You need friend groups, family, you know, associates, all kinds of stuff to make it out here. Organizations, all kinds of stuff, really. Like, to be honest, to make it out here. And when you don't have those things, you're at a huge disadvantage. And you need knowledge, you need all kinds of stuff. Like, and the thing is that, like, I'm not to say that the white dude didn't have that. The older white dude that had a master's degree didn't have that. But it's like, to be honest, like, I realized that how my parents actually, how powerful they were actually were, because, like, I used to, when you're young, you think your parents is dumb and you know everything, you know better than they do, and then you get your wake up call. You go on your own and you get your wake up call. And yeah, I ended up, going a year in, then going back home, going back actually to my grandparents' house. So yeah, the thing is that when it comes to, like I say, when it comes to the truth about social media, in my opinion, a lot of people are on social media. There, it's kind of like, it's kind of sad, almost dystopian. Now, here's the thing: if your mental health is like really bad, if you're like depressed and sad, um, you know, you one, you shouldn't be about this if this is like making it worse or whatever. It's just, the thing is that it is not impossible for you to change your scenario. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm talking. That's the reason why I'm doing this live stream, is to kind of help people understand. Like, it's twofold. You could look at it like, yeah, it's depressing, but then you could also look at it like, I need to really change my life. I really need to make some changes. I really need to take life more serious and put, look at social media just how social media actually is, and just try to, figure something out. I really need to pay attention to some different things, and try to change some trajectories, because yeah, a lot of stuff might be jacked up, but you can improve. Like, to be honest, if you just look at my videos on the 3Ms, that will probably change your financial. A lot of this is like basically financial economic control. The reason this is what it is centuries of, economic control. Okay. Your family is the most important thing that you could possibly tap into. If you these people all the way to the right, they have very, very concentrated, intergenerational wealthy families. The Waltons, the Rothschilds, the you know Rockefellers, all of those people. That's centuries and centuries of family planning and all kinds of shit, all kinds of crazy shit. But the thing is this: the whole point is you might not be really living a life you don't you want to live because you don't really have the money to live that way, and a lot of people are actually they don't want to admit that. They don't really want to really admit that that is their reality. And a lot of people probably do feel stuck, maybe on a hamster wheel or whatever. And the thing is this, right? It comes to, like, I guess you want to. Okay, I don't want to say I guess. I mean, it's the second tier of the 3M system, money management. A lot of times, what people do is because they get really enthralled with social media and I've said this before. I said this on TikTok, and I got a lot of views on TikTok. Right now, I said social media is not real, and I've said that time to time again. Social media actually is not real. It is not real. I don't know how many times did you don't you people won't comprehend this. Social media is not real. It isn't, and I'm not going to go into computer technology and, you know, HTML code and CSS and PHP and all that. Like, it's not real. It's not. Now, the interactions may be people that are real or whatever, possibly, right? Most likely, if you know them. But the thing is that the social media in itself is not real. And a lot of times people take it way too serious, okay? Make a way big deal about it. Now, can you make a whole bunch of money off social media? Yes, you can. Yeah. There's people making money off social media every single day. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying most people that come to social media, they're coming from a point of here. They're all the way at the top. They're poor. They're coming to social media. Even Kevin Samuels. I mean, Kevin Samuels was beloved by a lot of men. He said himself, like, that's one of the reasons he kept his old videos. He basically came up off social media. He was doing car videos with an old Buick, and his clothes was kind of like off, kind of like kind of messed up or jacked up, and he had to kind of do a style shift himself. Yeah, he said that. So the thing is that yeah, you can make tons of money off of social media. You can make all kinds of money with social media ads and all kinds of different stuff. You can use all kinds of different tools, and whatnot. Facebook itself, it's worth over $1 trillion, I believe, as far as the company. You got Instagram, you got different, entities that Meta works or Meta owns or whatever. Mark Zuckerberg, right? Uh, it's the stock is like, I think, like, I gotta look at it. I mean, I haven't looked at it in a while, but yeah, it's been exceptionally a lot of growth, as far as money. I mean, hell, Facebook is just a monster of an app. Like, I mean, it's got so many people interacting. It's got all kinds of secrets in the messenger apps. It's got, Mark Zuckerberg knows my actual reality. Like, he knows more about me in my messengers my DMs in my different Facebook groups that I am in, then my uncle, then my family, what I'm saying? Like that's data is very, very powerful, information is very, very powerful. And me using that platform and having all of the interactions that I have and the data and all this other stuff, that's all. I'm just one person. It's millions of users on I believe a billion users on Facebook. So you just think about all of that, all these secrets, all of these contact information. The government easily can get information from Facebook. Feds, they need that information. They immediately give up that information. You deleted messages, all of that. They give all of that data up. And that goes for all of these different, including YouTube. They get any data that they need to give that you have that is by request. If you are, even if it's not even the feds, even if it's the state, they can subpoena, Meta or whatever, Twitter, and get whatever information that they need from you. So the thing is that it's a lot of data. It's these different social media platforms are worth a lot of money, right? As far as a company, and the thing is that people do share a lot of information, a lot of data, back and forth. Um, a lot of moving parts there. But it's not real in the sense of you concerning about what other people think and all of that other stuff, and people not liking this and not liking that. Um, I think if you like again, if you probably were on this chart when it comes to middle, I would even say upper poor, upper poor, because $500,000 is not a bad amount of money, right? 500K is not a bad amount of money to make, or even to have as a net worth, because it's not necessarily your income. This chart is net worth. Having a $500,000 net worth is not necessarily that bad. Um, in the poor column here on this chart. Now, going down, right? You're making even more money, right? And 500,000 to 2 million. You probably, what I'm saying. I'll just speak for myself. If most likely I had the means, I would not be on social media like that. Honestly, if I had anywhere between probably, I would say, middle class, upper middle class income or wealth, I wouldn't even be on social media like that. I would probably, like, the most controversial accounts that I have, I would probably delete them. I would delete them, and then, or I would pay somebody to like go through them and scrub them of all of like the most hardcore content that I have or I ever posted or whatever, going back years. It'd probably be easier just to fucking delete them. Anything that I have that I might, I I think you can download your data. I seen like stuff that, like, on Facebook you can download your data. Different places I think you could download your data. I don't know. I look into all of that, and I'll just be go. I would go. I wouldn't necessarily disappear from social media, but I would deal with social media from a different vantage point, because I have something actually to lose, right? if you're trying to be a CEO of a company and make millions of dollars, you don't want to fucking have controversial shit on your fucking social media. That's another one of my points that I'm trying to make. And the thing is like that doesn't matter if you don't really have no money like that, because nobody gives a shit. You know, people do this thing where they only pay attention to you if you have money and all of that. So it's like, yeah, when you don't got money like that, people don't even give a shit about what you post. Now, this goes back to Kanye. Kanye is an anomaly because he does have a lot to lose, but he's steady posting shit because he's you know, he's basically going through some mental challenges. Trust me, you know, I know very much about that. Now, the thing is that that's why he's going through all of these different things and all of that. But you got to understand, being a maniac, going through mania, I mean, you can, you know, kind of be very, very super productive in that type of, you know, scenario where you're full maniac mode. And that's what he's going through. That's what he's been going through. And you know, I don't know Kanye. Okay, so I don't, you know, I could help him, but a lot of times you gotta understand, I'm on the top of this chart right here. Let's see, I have to look at this chart because it's small. I'm on my phone. Kanye is all the way damn near at the bottom. What the fuck he gonna pay attention? He's not gonna listen to me. You think Kanye will listen to my ass? I don't think so. I mean, I thought about you know, you know, I definitely could help him. But you think he would fucking listen to somebody at the top here, and the poor? He would listen to a poor guy. No, he wouldn't. You know, most likely, right? And that's the thing. That's the thing about ego. That's the thing about you know, people that are dealing with things and they're on a high level. You know, and you know, they don't really pay attention to a lot of times people that are on a lower socioeconomic level. But that's not my problem. You know, hey, you know, some things very much that I like about Kanye, but that is his struggles, that is his life, right? Um, it's a lot of people going through what Kanye is probably going through right now, or have been through, right? So the thing is that yeah, me personally, I would definitely have a different approach if I had money. Now, would I be quiet and watch the world burn while, you know, I got a whole bunch of money? No, that is not what I'm saying. I would speak up. I would know how to speak up. But I'm not it's a thing with being able to speak up, and then they just go pull your social media data. And then you said fuck the you know, you know, you know, trans should be thrown over the mountain in 2018. You know, like that's what I'm saying. You know, and it's like, yeah, you know, people do that shit when you're on, when you got money. You know, and it's like you didn't give a shit about that shit when I was fucking you know, clocking a job making $22 an hour, you know, answering help desk tickets, you know, like you giving a fuck about that because I got $22 million in my bank account and I, you know, have some successful whatever, or I got $200 million. You giving a hell about what I said back in 2008 when I was fucking living where the fuck was I in 2008? Living in my grandma's basement You giving a fuck about some shit I posted when I was living in my grandma's basement, trying to get my computer business outside my grandma's basement. That's what you gonna pull some post that I made. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit. That's all I'm saying. That's how I would move. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what those are the tricks that they play when you get to a certain level financially. Like, they pull your fucking old data, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I'm saying, they got ways, probably sneaky ways, even if you probably delete your shit. Cause it's like, you gotta understand, these accounts, they're owned by these companies, Twitter and Facebook, or Instagram. They don't delete that data. You think they probably delete that data. How do you know they deleted the data? Exactly. But regardless, I'm not worried about all of that. I'm just saying, like, you know, I would still go through that process. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would delete as much as I possibly could, and that'll be that. Because the thing is that, like, that's what the games that they try to pull when you actually are financially successful. And that's neither here nor there, but that's what they do. But the thing is also, on that level, I wouldn't even be on social media like that. It's all kinds of places to go when you got a passport. Even, let's just say you don't have a well, if you don't have a passport, that's kind of, I can't imagine not having a passport now that I have a passport. I mean, but it was a long time that I didn't have a passport, and I still didn't really have enough money to really travel, even in the United States. Like, I couldn't just get on a plane and go, like, travel like that to, like, even nationally. So if you do have the money to travel nationally, like, that's not that bad. But yeah, like, the whole point is, when you got your money really, really well, really good, you working, whatever system you work in financially and is working, yeah, you ain't probably gonna be on social media like that. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you just probably not. It's so much shit you can do in the fucking world when you got money. It is so much. It is mind-boggling how much possibilities there are to do when you got money. You can literally get lost. You can get lost in your mansion. You can get lost, period, when you have money. When you have enough money, you can literally fucking get wherever you want to go and live however you want to live, and that'll be it for the most part. And it's like, a lot, like, again, I mean, most of the people that on social media, they're on there because they ain't really got shit else to do. And I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to bash anybody. It just is what it is. It's just, that's how society is. That's how I understand why. I'm I'm guilty of that myself. It's not me saying, I'm not speaking from a perspective of, I'm not guilty of these things myself, but I am aware of it. Awareness is, the best, awareness is great, right? Like, at least you aware of the shit. If you're not aware of it, then you can get goofy with it. You get real goofy with it, where you be all on social media and all that, and then it's like, yeah, some guy, like some smart guy on YouTube called the Broke Genius, has got a book. His name is Abdul, and he wrote this nice book where, it kind of helps you get your money in, order. Yeah, you can get fucking lost when you got money. And the thing is that, yeah, like, it's true. That's why you feel some type of way when you hear stuff like this, because You know you be on social media because you ain't really got no life. You can't really live the life you really want to live. And then when I say these words, yeah, you know, you might be like kind of, you know, a little hurt a little bit because the truth does hurt. The truth does hurt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your social media influencer that you give a whole bunch of money to. Well, if you stop giving them money, they might stop showing up. You know what I'm saying? They might stop showing up. You stop giving your favorite social media influencer money, they stop showing up. They stop going live. They stop posting. You know, I mean, you know, that's their prerogative. I'm not even bashing them, but I'm trying to tell you, like, this is why this is about money. Like, this shit goes back to money. Like, a lot of this shit is based off around money. Like, I'm not saying that people are, you know, one way or the other. Like, I am not anti-capitalist. I'm saying basically just people are influenced by social media to, you know, as far as content creators, that if they not making no money, they might not show up. That's all I'm saying. But the thing is that that's that's mostly why people are on social media. A rich person, let's just say it to be honest. Let's say, let me open this chart back up, and this is basically also what I'm saying. If you pretty much are already wealthy and comfortable, like on, let's just say in the middle, let's just say anywhere in the top middle or even in the middle, right? You wouldn't even be on social media talking about I'm going to be a content creator, like, share, subscribe. You wouldn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me just be honest. You know, why would you come on social media when you're already wealthy and rich? You probably would, if you did, you probably wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know. Most people, I would say, they would not be on social media, you know, talking about hit the cash out, like, share, subscribe, hit the cash out. They wouldn't be on there like that. They wouldn't be, you know, on social media talking about anything pretty much other than maybe their business, their company, um, some tour that they're about to do, some business venture, some book they're about to write or publish or whatever. Like, it's not, it's a totally different existence when you have money in this country or outside this country. And the thing is that, you know, a lot of times people are going to social media to actually cope, you know, to actually have some type of escapism. And, you know, me bringing awareness to it, I know it, you know, I'm stealing on, I'm hurting a lot of people right now, you know, but I mean, it was just something, it's just something that I actually had to say. Like, Tariq Nasheed wouldn't even be Tariq Nasheed if he already had money. I said that before. I wish Tariq Nasheed already had money. I wish insert name here, the person that really, you know, caused a lot of harm on people, influenced a lot of people to behave a certain way and think a certain way, and it's really negative. I wish these people already had money because they wouldn't even come on social media talking about some, okay, you know, buy my book about being a Mac, you know, that I you know, listened to some Mac in my apartment building, and I just basically cosplayed his ass, and then I started writing books and shit. Then, you know, Hidden Colors, I'm black and I'm African and we was Africans, and then morph into, you know, hey, where your people from? Tether? You know, it's like he wouldn't do this if he already had money, right? If he already had money, he wouldn't have the motivations to do all of this shit. Dr. Umar, if he already had money, if he wanted a fucking school, he can start a school probably within a year. It would be from probably take less than 2 years to go from foundation to building to, you know, fucking having a school. Like, I mean, you know, what LeBron James, whether the school was successful or not, what did he do? He started a fucking school. He said he wanted to start a school, and he started a school because he got money already. You know what I'm saying? Like it's it wasn't no. He didn't have to start no GoFundMe. He ain't have to say, you know, nothing. He just started the fucking school. Jalen Rose started the school. He's got a productive, very productive school. And Jalen ain't got nowhere near the money that LeBron James got. But he that's what he did. You know, he had money. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't have to talk about nothing about, you know, I'm going to be in Philly. I'm going to be in Philly next month. I'm going to be in Philly. You know, come out support, you know. And you know, this is my cash out. I got a GoFundMe going, hit that. Like he didn't have to do all of this because he already had money, right? If a lot of these people, if they already had money, they wouldn't have to hustle, right? They wouldn't have to hustle. They wouldn't have to hustle you. They would still, you know, I mean, people still gonna make their money, but they ain't gotta hustle like that. When you achieve a certain level, to be honest, money becomes a certain level of energy where it's easier to be reproduced. Like for example, looking at this chart here, let's just say roughly upper middle. Oh, you want to start a restaurant? Okay. What you want to start? Okay, start the restaurant. Get consultants that already have started a restaurant. They know the ins and outs. Hire a consultant. Get you a management team together. Boom, bada bing, bow. Now you got a restaurant. You can do it however you want to do it. Boom, right? And then what's that's gonna do? Make you even more money. Now you got the problem of having way more money than you even thought you was gonna have. Now you got a restaurant making $1 million a year, and you only start. It only took you what, maybe less than $200,000 to start it because you already got fucking money. Oh, you wanna whatever you wanna do, insert what you wanna do here. Boom, you put the money up, and then guess what? It was you already knew it was a good idea, and guess what? You know what? It was a fucking good idea because now you're making a whole bunch of money because it just so happened you were right. It was a good idea. You didn't have to go beg your family members for no money. You ain't had to beg anybody for any money because you already had it. It, it was an excellent idea. Matter of fact, you know what? It was so good of a fucking idea. You know, you got people that actually want to buy your business. You know what? You just sell them the business because you know you started it, you ran it well. You know, you're making $10 million a year. They're offering you $100 million for it, and you just gonna take it. In what you already only had. Let's see, you only had about um you know 4 million, or what does it say, 30 million. Now you sitting on, you still got that. Now you got even more money. Now you got $100 million. You got about $150 million now. And then what? Oh, what else you want to do now? You want to start what you want to make? You want to make some damn, well, you make some custom boats. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, you got to understand. Like these are healthy conversations. You know, I'm trying to show you. kind of like mind mapping how this shit gets really, really fucking like I don't want to say easy, but it gets really, really um kind of a little bit more simplified when you already have money, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these people, man. I mean, even let's keep going. Jay Morrison. Jay Morrison already had money. He could fuck off his money as much as he want to. Like it's people that lose their money. Like it's a whole bunch of millionaires and billionaires that lose their money. You know, they lost their money and they had to file bankruptcy. The company had to go out of business, and there you go. Like he wouldn't have to go get no fund or get no people to put $5 a month or none of that shit. He could just go do what the fuck, go blow off his money, just go jag off his goddamn real estate portfolio. It wouldn't affect nobody but his ass. Yeah, file bankruptcy and then just move on. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, you get to a point where you realize if people really had a lot of, this is what I read, right? This is like a passage, it's kind of like a parable. When people want to actually feel important and they want to start making money, they start bringing damage to society. It's like basically the actual capitalists that cares nothing but capital, they harm, the environment because they want money so bad. They this putting toxic waste in the waterways, toxic waste in the ground, where the crops grow. These people do the most harm, right? No, I'm not saying, okay, I don't put Jay Morris in that because that's extreme, level, right? But he definitely lost a lot of people money, hard earned money. Um, these people, when they want to feel important, this is what happens. Like when they, don't really have good sounding morals and ethics, and don't have, maybe let's just even say, the skill set. It takes a certain levels of skill set to actually run a real estate portfolio or some type of, let's just say, REIT. It takes a certain level of understanding and skill set and knowledge to do that. If you don't have that, it's not something that's going to come overnight. And that's, I mean, hey, I've never gave a dollar to the real estate fund, Tulsa Real Estate Fund. I've never given a dollar to Dr. Umar. I've never given a dollar to Tariq Nasheed. So I'm not one of those individuals that really. Well, I probably didn't have much to give anyways, but I mean, I didn't fall for the real estate fund because I mean it seemed like a good idea, but I'm from Chicago. I know a lot of people that hustle. Hustling is not nothing new. Before the internet or whatever, people used to come in my store talking about, yeah, I'm gonna, and it's got, guys was in the nation talking about, man, I got a investment club or investment group, and you got, $100 a month or something like that. Man, people got to survive, man, and a lot of times people hustle or scam to survive. Like that's what quite a bit of people do to survive. They scheme and scam. So I mean, I didn't go for it. The dude was smart, but I didn't go for it because I knew, obviously, this dude on, you got to think of just the obvious shit. This dude on 79th Street most likely probably got an ex-con origin story, because a lot of dudes in the nation are reformed ex-cons. He's off 79th Street. He doesn't have a car. He's walking and he's talking about he's got some type of investment um, fund that you need to that you should put $100 a month into, right? It just doesn't. It's a lot of it's if you really think about it, like from start to finish, it's a lot of red flags, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. You know, it wasn't it wasn't no big deal at all. Just, a lot of people came off the street saying all kind of stuff. That was just how it was when I had my store. When I had my computer store, people walk in with all kinds of stuff, all kinds of ideas and all kinds of, things. But my whole point is, I'm from Chicago, man. It's a whole bunch of people that be scamming and hustling and bustling and all of that. I'm used to that. People probably from maybe some other areas, they might not be used to big city scammers and stuff. They might not be used to people, New York and stuff like that. Like, they're not used to that. Like people from like some, remote part of the country where people don't really be hustling like that. They not used to that. They probably don't really understand that people be hustling hard like that, or understand why people be hustling hard like that. I don't know. Like, I'm used to that. I grew up around people that's scheming and scamming, so I understand that world, that reality. So I don't really fall for it like that. I mean, I like the Hidden Colors. I mean, I wasn't interested. I didn't even really know about Tariq Nasheed when he was doing the whole Mac lessons thing. Um, the um, the actual um, the Hidden Colors, I was all in on that. Like I definitely was very much into the Hidden Colors thing. But by the time he started talking about, basically scrutinize Africans and other people, that was where I basically lost. That's where Tariq Nasheed lost me. I'll be honest with you, I was basically a kind of a Tariq Nasheed fan at one time. You could even say, I used to subscribe to Tariq. I used to listen to Tariq damn near most of the live streams he would do. I used to be in the chat of Tariq Nasheed's live streams, like, and then when he started to shift into that new hustle, that new FBA hustle, and he robbed Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell's movement, started talking about Africans and shit and Caribbeans and talking about where your people from and tethers, and it only progressed. It was like, yeah, he lost me. I put up with it for a while, and then it was like, yeah, I was like, yeah, this ain't really productive. And then you start to really think about it. It's like, well, if you just doing that, but you not forming businesses, you not trying to create some type of business structure for yourself and your family, and then you talking about, okay, you going on a live stream, okay, you got people that, you got to understand this, right? This is reality, right? You on the internet talking about where your people from, calling people tethers, and then when you click that button and you put your phone in lock mode and you walk outside your house, you going to Muhammad Patel, and you asking for two White Owls or two Black and Miles, and two Swisher Sweets, and then the rest on pump three. That's your reality. That's once you click off that phone, you walk outside your house. That's reality, and you have to deal with that reality. And that reality is not a good reality. It's a reality that's based off of you not having viable businesses, you not having a competitive economic force to be reckoned with, like Asians Arabians, Indians, and that's the reality. And that's where I knew where the whole, FBA stuff was just basically some shit that probably I would be, now that I hell, if Sexy Red is an agent, shit, Tariq Nasheed would be nothing for him to be an agent at this point. So it just, tool for separation, obviously. But it's not working. It's they're imploding on each other right now. I mean, that shit is like, he probably looking for a new hustle at this point. Eventually people gonna find out, and they gonna realize they've been had. They've been had, hoodwinked, and led astray. They'll eventually figure that out, and then this economy will help you figure that shit out. You start to think about it. It's like, yeah, you ain't gotta listen to me. If you listen to me, I mean, obviously, I can help you out. Figure it out real quick. But if you stomach the sour medicine. But yeah, click that phone, turn your browser off, turn your laptop off. You walk outside that house, walk outside your apartment, walk outside your mama crib, your sister and them crib, and you walk outside that door. That's reality. And then you know what? I'm gonna be honest. You know what I thought about? When I go and walk around and everything, people don't be saying where your people from. People don't be saying tether. I've never walked around Chicago or Indiana and heard people talking about where your people from and tether. I never heard people say that. So this is some internet shit. So like, yeah, when you might have those notions in your mind, but when you click that phone off and that computer off, and you walk outside your apartment and wherever you live, you dealing with reality. And the reality is Tariq Nasheed can't do a goddamn thing for you. And I know that. You know what I'm saying? I probably can do more for you than most likely Tariq can, because if you can't deal with this economic system here, you are absolutely fucked. And you know it. And the thing is that this economy and what's kind of going on will help you realize that very, very quickly, very expeditiously. So that's kind of how that goes. And if you just, some people be, like I say, people go to the internet because they're looking for friend groups and escapism, and they ain't really got the money to live how they want to live. They don't really know how to deal with this financial world, and they're caught into, people are programmed. Their souls are washed. They're brainwashed and their souls are washed. So their ego will not allow them to be changed. Because it's like one of the things, it's like similar to gambling, right? It's very similar to gambling. A terrible gambler that just goes to a casino and just loses all of his money or her money. One of the things that I notice about gambling in my older years is based off of your ego. It was a dude, right? He killed two dudes in a Hammond bar. He just lost $10,000 at the casino about that same day. He was so frustrated because he lost so much money at the casino. He blew away two people at the bar. True story. This happened last month. This happened about a month ago. Maybe not even a month ago, a couple weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago. This happened. And one of the things that I learned about gambling is that if you steady losing, steady losing, steady losing, it's really going against, it's a psychological game. It's going against your ego. You think you could win, but you can't win because you lost psychological control, because your ego won't allow you to see that you really just can't win. Whatever you're doing, or your system, or whatever the fuck you're doing, you're not winning. You got a winning problem, and your ego won't allow you to see that you can't really win. Like you having a hard time winning. Your ego won't allow you to deal with the reality that you just keep losing, and whatever you're doing that you're losing, you just steady keep trying to do it. You steady keep trying to keep, figure it out. But your ego has you so much in a gridlock where you can't get out of the fact that just whatever this thing you're doing, or whatever system you're doing it ain't working. In your mind, uh um your mindset and your ego just got you in a state where you just basically can't stop. And it's based off of your ego won't allow you to let that go and do something else that maybe you're not really that addicted to, or whatever, because there's certain things that it might be more addictive than others, and it's certain things that you might be better at than others, and you steady, your ego won't, a lot of times people's egos won't allow them to try something else, or do something else, or even just stop. That's what a lot of times with gamblers, it's really an egotistical problem. That's one of the things I learned, man. I swear to God, man. I mean, that's why, man. Trust me, trust me, bro. I mean, that's why I call myself what I call myself, man. I be figuring shit the fuck out, boy. And when I do, I figure it out, and I got it. And it's like get it, got it good. But I've said quite a bit. I'm gonna let you go. Um, hopefully this resonates with you, and you have a good morning.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
That's one of your top
It is.
3 pieces.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You want to know why you're all fucked up? Just look at the fucking bums you hang around with.